Thank you, Desi. Thank you to you all, to the commissioners, to everyone who partners, not just with NPower, but with all organizations like NPower across the state. We are honored to be here. We love working with the Texas Workforce Commission. Tara and Ann back there, you all are great champions for NPower. So we couldn't do what we do without all of your support. So to the Texas Workforce Commission. We'll start on my first slide for you all. And get ready, get motivated. Look, I am a hands talker. I'm a New Yorker. Sorry to all you Cowboys fans out there. Giants win this weekend. I'm a New Yorker. I talk with my hands, and I'm high energy. So let's get ready to kick this thing off. And I'll introduce my panelists here in a minute.
Can you feel it? It's that feeling. The feeling before you change your life. The butterflies and hope, the nerves and what ifs. We've all been there. That is the moment of reset. It's when you're stuck, when things are broken, frozen, and priorities have shifted. When time's up and you're out of ideas. You need a breakthrough. When something goes wrong with technology, we press the reset button. But what's the button to reset your life? For the young adults and military veterans we serve, it is NPower. NPower is the catalyst and path forward towards a life-changing technology career. NPower sees passion, hunger, unrelenting drive, and puts that foot in the door. Black, brown, woman, veteran, with or without a job, with or without a degree, with or without a home, come as you are. And for the companies we partner with, NPower is the reset button to make real change, an action to advance equity, diversity, and inclusion within their organizations. Your team can be diverse and see a fuller picture, one that recognizes more opportunities and finds better solutions. Diversity equals innovation. This is your competitive edge. The momentum is building and the world is taking notice. 2021 has become a tipping point for NPower. Journalists and companies are knocking on our doors looking for the answers on what it'll really take to create an equitable future for those that need us the most. The work is hard, but together, with your partnership and support, we're making strides. We believe we can do more. Now is the time to commit your support, open new doors, and reset the future of tech. Are you ready?
Who's ready? Come on, let's go, we're ready. So, as Desi mentioned, my name is Jonathan Pride. You can call me John Pride or JP. I am the Executive Director for NPower Texas. NPower is a national nonprofit, and our mission is to create a pathway to prosperity for those we serve, which include veterans and their spouses, as well as young adults from underserved communities. We're gonna talk for about 45 minutes about what NPower is, who we are, and who we serve. So I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna introduce my amazing panelists with Kim Mitchell, I've got Raymond Pitts, and I have Brashonda Walker. They're gonna introduce themselves in a second. But before we do, are there any military veterans in the room? And that includes reservists, National Guardsmen and women, reservists. Stand up, please. Let's honor them. Don't be bashful. Let's stand up. Stay standing for a second, please. Just a quick poll, right? Because we're super interactive. How many of you, let me rephrase, if you knew what you wanted to do when you got out of the military, stay standing. If you knew what you wanted to do when you got out of the military, stay standing. Okay? We're going to talk about that too, and great job to you three, I mean. So, panelists, why don't you take a minute, introduce yourselves, tell us who you are, tell us why you're here, and just tell us what drives you.
Well, I'll start. Is this on?
Yeah.
Yes. Good morning. Thank you so much for inviting us to be part of this powerful day and a half or 2 days to talk about apprenticeships. My name is Kim Mitchell. I serve as the Vice President of Strategy and Engagement at NPower. I have been with NPower about 5 years now and have the privilege to manage our national placement strategy, our apprenticeship initiatives, our alumni experience and engagement, and further, our partnerships across the country that really help us to build a better practice in service to the individuals that we want to serve. I came to NPower after many years in corporate America. The last 20 before coming here were with JP Chase. And I spent the last years in the foundation and was a funder of NPower. And so I have this amazing journey of my own going from a set of experiences that were relatively privileged between Xerox and JP Chase. But then winding up in the foundation, I began to appreciate and understand all of the powerful organizations and individuals that were solving the problems in the communities where many of the corporations benefit and enjoy a customer base. So I learned that, that there were much bigger problems to solve than the ones that we were dealing with in the boardroom in those corporations. They're still important, but we don't exist if we don't engage, empower, and inspire the community and skill the community to be able to participate. So I got this great opportunity to join the NPower team. We work hard, we play hard, we're serious about this work, and we're excited to have this conversation with you today.
Thank you. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Raymond Pitts. I am an employee of Citigroup, one of the largest financial groups in the world. I want to say that. I want to first say I appreciate and honor those who served, so the veterans that did stand up, I appreciate you. Thank you for your service. My role at Citi is I am a global storage manager. I provide storage for different corporations throughout the world, and I wear multiple hats. One, I'm a combat veteran, of course, so I'm very appreciative of all the veterans, especially if you're Army, go Army. But I'm very passionate on serving veterans and providing support for the community, and this is where NPower and Citigroup joined as a marriage in our coalition to give back to the community and hire veterans and veteran spouses, as well as the young adults into Citigroup that will add value to our mission and goal, which is to be very passionate about ensuring that they are employed, ensuring that they have self-worth. It's just so passionate about what we do and that coalition that we have together and how we give back. And the bottom line is that we change lives. That's the bottom line is when they come to work and they go home, they have an opportunity to say, you know what, with this apprenticeship program that I'm affiliated with NPower, I have the opportunity to change lives. And what happens is that their heirs see them change lives, and they see that what their parents are doing, that they have an opportunity to do the same as well too. So that morphs into their dreams. That creates dreams for them. That creates opportunities. And it's just not about the parents going to work because it's not a job anymore. It's a passion or something that they like to do, and they see that. So today our resume is written, and tomorrow is their dreams and their future. So it's not about us anymore. It's about them. So again, I wear multiple hats. I am a Regional Advisory Board member for NPower. I am an affinity group for Veterans on Wall Street in New York, Veterans on Wall Street in Dallas as well too. I have my own a nonprofit organization called 100 Men, giving back to the community, and an advocate for men as well too. So again, as I mentioned, I wear multiple hats, but that's enough about me.
Okay, well, good morning and happy Thursday to everyone. My name is Prashonda Walker. You can call me Shonda for short. I am a Dallas, Texas native, also a diehard Dallas Cowboys fan. So me and John will have a rival pretty soon. Air Force veteran. I served 6.5 years in the Air Force, stationed at Holloman Air Force Base in New Mexico. Honorably separated back in 2015. I am a NPower alumni. I also attended the Tech Fundamentals course back in 2019. And I am also a Citi employee as well. Raymond is my boss. I am excited to be here. Also excited to share my story as an alumni for NPower and how it has impacted my life in a positive manner, hopefully to inspire and to encourage more involvement of the program and also share the highlight of what the program can do for you as someone like me.
Great, thank you to my panelists. So NPower since 2013 has been in Texas, and in the last 9 years, almost 10 years, we've served over 1,200 military veteran spouses and young adults from underserved markets, including about 250 registered apprenticeship programs. And we entered them into the tech workforce with, on average, a 477% higher salary than they did coming into our program, which equates to about $62,000 in Texas. When you consider what they made coming into our program, $12,000, $13,000, which we all know in the room, those are those who are on the public assistance programs, right? And those who are at an end, a transitional point, if you would. That's that 477% salary increase. And Brashonda is just one of over 1,200 folks since 2013 that we have helped to pour back into the state of Texas, into our local communities, and lift and change that trajectory of those we serve. My first question is for Kim, and before I ask the question, Kim, I was talking to Aurora, guys, she's here somewhere, yesterday, and we were talking about middle management, right? And she has an employer partner who was like, hey, we need middle management now. Like, we need it now. We need, mid to senior level managers. Where's this talent? Where's this talent? Where's this talent? And Aurora said something yesterday, which I thought was so impactful. She said, well, customer, 3 years ago when I asked you about entry-level talent, you didn't want to hear it. They would have been your mid-level management today. Is that fair for everyone in the room? So, Kim, my question for you is, how does the NPower apprenticeship model work? And why is it so important that we change the script for employer partners?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great question. And, the apprenticeship model for NPower is just a critical component of the work we do day to day. It is basically one of the pathways to placement after attending our program, which is anywhere from 10 to 20 weeks of a career-connected, certification-based, trauma-informed tech training program, which is free, that then puts people on a path to tech careers that allows them to both achieve social and economic mobility. It is a process that you all know where the employer agrees to comply with the standards of apprenticeship that include mentoring, on-the-job training, progressive salary wages, and then yielding an additional credential, which is a Department of Labor apprenticeship certificate. NPower was an early adopter with registered apprentices in that we, in 2015, were awarded the American Apprenticeship Initiative grant from the U.S. Department of Labor. And I say we were an early adopter because our work was not one of the traditional skills trades. It was tech careers. It was tech training. And in partnership with our employers, they are accustomed to language like journeyman. They're not even accustomed to and had an appeal to the Department of Labor being involved in their business and involved in their hiring practices. But what we were able to do is to create together with the Department of Labor standards of apprenticeship for the IT generalist role. And it took us about 1.5 years to figure it out. And then we had to do the heavy lifting of getting our own team internally excited about this and encouraging our employer partners to go into this agreement with us. It was not something that everyone was excited to do, but what we were able to minimize for the employer was the pages of documents that they had to sign by working with our Department of Labor representatives to create an employer acceptance agreement that was 2 pages. That meant that we would take on the burden of responsibility for ensuring that the standards were documented, that the employer understood, and that the manager was able to both mentor, coach, train, and comply with and affirm that the skills that the standards had were being met by the employer and their demonstration of those skills. Finally, we are proud to say that in Texas alone, as JP indicated, we have over 200 registered apprentices, but nationally, we have over 350. And from 2015 to today, we enjoy both starting with registered apprenticeship programs in Texas, New Jersey, and California to now 5 states that include Missouri and Maryland. But here's the good news. Just yesterday, we moved, well, no, let me just lead up a little bit more. So we had standards of apprenticeship for IT generalists, and then within about 3 years, we were also awarded standards for cybersecurity. We all know how important that skill set is today, and we offer advanced credentials for our alumni to come back and go through that program so that they can also become cyber skilled. But we went from these 2 standards in 5 states to just yesterday receiving the approval from the U.S. Department of Labor to have national standards of apprenticeship. What does that mean? Yeah, thank you. Woohoo! National standards. It took us about 8 months, and we went back and forth. But what does that mean? That means we can register an apprentice in any state in the country. Why is that important to us? Because we are launching a skill bridge initiative, which means we're not only going to be serving veterans and veteran spouses, but we're going to be serving active duty transitioning service members, providing that training while they're in transition and finding them a placement wherever they want to relocate to when they are honorably discharged. So we don't have to chase standards in every state. We don't have to try to create partnerships and build excitement state by state. We now have U.S. Department National Standards of Apprenticeship, and we're really, really proud to share that news. And then finally, I know I'm going on and on here, but our CEO has boldly championed apprentices and apprenticeships rather, and just recently moderated a panel with one of the executives from Citi at the White House Economic Forum to introduce the 120-day cybersecurity sprint. Have you all heard about it? Okay, well, it's a sprint that in 120 days, we're challenging the employer community to register apprentices across the country so that we're demonstrating both the support, the championship, and benefits of apprenticeships, and that we're able to feed the talent pipeline that is in such demand. So we, apprenticeships is just in our DNA. It's part of our model. We believe that it's one pathway to placement, and we believe that the benefits of helping someone who may not have a college degree obtain the skills and the support for their success at work.
That is so impactful, right? The national standards will just streamline our efforts with every one of you who are working in the higher ed and working in the workforce, where we can now partner anywhere in the country and place apprentices in your cities, your states, without having the red tape of trying to match the standards. So that's such a big deal, Kim, and it's amazing news. And I think we timed it yesterday on purpose so that we can say it today. So you all the first to hear it. Congrats there. No, I'm just kidding. Right, so this is important, right? Because we can have the best apprenticeship model in the world. And if the employer doesn't support the apprentice, then it's all for naught. I think we can all agree on that, right? So, Ray, why is it so critical for an organization like Citi and other ones like Citi to leverage the power of apprenticeships in this current economic crisis that we're in now?
Good question. As you know, Citi is a large organization like any other corporation. Corporations are governed by policies and procedures, and we get that, we understand that. But when I go out and I look for talent, and I can get talent anywhere, if there's something more that I look for that loyalty, I look for the individual that is going to take me to the next level, which is I can sleep at night knowing that they're going to do what they said that I asked them to do, right? That's the passion that they have. That's that loyalty. That's that drive that they have. Employers look for that. Yeah, I look for a person that has a 4-year degree. Sure, I do sometimes, but there's a bigger picture to this on how I can give this young person an opportunity to advance and grow in this industry, and then 4 years from now, they will probably surpass that where that 4-year degree would have taken them, right? Look what you're doing when you're giving back to these individuals that are coming from a underserved environment, which are low-income families and that are passionate about what they're doing. So if they take an apprenticeship like NPower or a corporation like NPower, and they're given the opportunity to take free courses, after that apprenticeship course, or after they get certified, then they go to, we'll just say Citigroup. I'm very passionate about Citigroup. And they go to Citigroup and they work there for 6 more months. Do you realize the opportunity that you have given them? It's a life-changing event for them. There are employers out there that care about what they're doing to give back to the community, what they're doing to empower individuals that do not have the opportunity to go get a 4-year degree. They may have to work at McDonald's, and they may have to work at other low-paying jobs where they just did not have the time to go get a 4-year degree because they're taking care of their child, or a single parent, if you will. But look what NPower is doing. They're giving these folks an opportunity to change that mindset. And when you, as an employer, give these folks an opportunity, the return on that investment. Now, understand there is an investment that you're providing these individuals, and when you provide them that investment, don't you know that they appreciate that, and they're going to return that, and they're going to spread the news that, hey, Joe Snuffy is so, my boss, Joe Snuffy, is really sharp. Joe Snuffy, I just used that, don't get me wrong there. But there is a give and take. And that give that they have given me is appreciative. I have talked to individuals once they graduated, and they have came back and they said, Mr. Raymond, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. And I tell them, like, look, it wasn't about me, but understand what they're telling me indirectly is that they are very appreciative of what they have gone through and what we have given them the opportunity to do. And the door that was open for them, we just opened the door, they walked through it. They did all the heavy lifting, they did all the work. So employers, it's really important for employers to look at the value besides the 4-year degree. Look at the apprenticeship programs that are out there, and look at the individuals that are going through those programs and give them an opportunity to take advantage of that apprenticeship program and bring them to your organization. It's a proven fact that they will take you farther than you would have with an individual with a degree. So it's very important, very impactful.
And I think a quick follow-up question for you, Ray, and even Kim. So I was in a meeting last week in the city of Fort Worth, and you know this program, the Opportunity Atlas. Does everyone know what the Opportunity Atlas is? Very impactful. If you take nothing else away from today, go and look up the Opportunity Atlas. It's an amazing tool in conjunction with the U.S. Census Department, and part of this study, and there were some really smart people who put it together, so I'm not going to butcher their names here, but what I will say is this study revealed, I should say, that when a company comes to a new market, 90% of the white-collar jobs are imported, right? Think about that. So when a company, and we know how many companies are coming to Texas, right? Thank God for that. When companies come to a new market, 90% of their white-collar jobs are imported. So they're people from outside of the state relocating to wherever office they're going to be. And so the question then becomes, Ray and Kim, what then happens to the people who are in adjacent roles that would normally qualify for those jobs, but they never get an opportunity? They're short of that opportunity gap because they're not already in the system. How do we solve that problem for the employer?
That's a good question. And, you know, socioeconomics is so important, providing folks an opportunity to get a job, and then you are outsourced. We have these outsourced companies that come in and they take those opportunities away from the individuals that are qualified for the job. I may not even be qualified for the job, right? So the dynamics and the impact changes the mindset. It changes the mindset on what's available for me when they see this happen. Employers have to realize that these companies that are offshore that come in and we'll say commandeer the market and corner the market with their jobs makes it real difficult for them to get the talent that they're looking for. And when you look at the talent abroad, it goes back to saying, hey, look, do I want the phenomenal talent? Do I want the low talent? and knowing that, or I'll take the scraps because I can't get the talent because these other companies are taking them. What is it that you do? So it's a chess game that the corporate America folks have to play in regards to getting that particular talent when they're put in a box, you know, when these companies come in from abroad and they're offshore. So it could be perception, but it could be a good perception.
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
I think that, you know, all the data about Texas is clear. It is like one of the most attractive states for new employers. And you can import people, but that's not a sustainable strategy. In order for companies to be successful, they are going to have to meet the demands by ensuring that they're presenting opportunity for the very residents of the communities where they live. And so, you know, there's an expression we have about talent, right? Talent is universal, opportunity is not. So employers have to think differently about how they define talent, what talent looks like, what is the skill set and credentials of that talent, and to make the decision and broaden their lens and broaden the net so that you are presenting opportunities for the very populations that are living and growing your business as you enter into a particular geography. I think the other thing that's important about the employer community is working with organizations like NPower, who are talent providers, and building strong partnerships. So that the employer doesn't have to do it on their own, we provide a fully vetted, trained, and certified person to then be part of a registered apprenticeship program that gives them almost the finishing school. They get to then get additional mentoring, training by that company so that they are molded to your interests and to your desires. So rather than expecting for someone to come in and know what you need and how to do it, you have the opportunity to mold that person and to also encourage them to continue to grow in their credentials, to pursue higher education, and to then move further than perhaps they even imagined was possible. And it's going to help the company be more successful.
You know, I appreciate that response. And Brashonda, you were one of those people, right? And your story, you know, just be prepared. I think there's tissue boxes out there. Grab it now if you need to. I love her story. It's very personal and it's very relevant and it's real for a lot of people in America. So, Brashonda, tell us, what does this program mean to you? Like, what does NPower mean to you, and what did the subsequent apprenticeship opportunity you had with Deloitte, what did that mean to you?
So words cannot describe how impactful NPower was to me. My first encounter with NPower was at the Dallas VA hospital. I was there for an appointment, and I ran across a recruiter. He gave me a pamphlet, told me about the program, and at the time, mentally, I was just not there. I was going through a separation from my son's father, then husband. He decided he no longer wanted to be married, and so he left and abandoned us in Charlotte, North Carolina. From there, we were forced to relocate to Texas, where I had family, but very little support. My thinking at the time was very cloudy. I was confused, and more so had to adjust to life as a single mommy, but also going through the stages of losing my independence, living back with my aunt. So mentally, I thought that I could not do anything at the moment. I did not have any insight at all on what I wanted to do. And NPower, at the time, honestly, it just seemed too good to be true. The recruiter kept saying, this is free, this is free. I'm like, no, nothing in life is free. But I sat on the idea for about a year, and it was during my sophomore year of college. I was at a community college, and a friend just so happened to be enrolled in NPower at the time, and he persuaded me to join the program, and so I did. Concurrently, I was in school as a full-time student studying supply chain management, and I thought it would be great to get IT skills to accommodate my supply chain degree. Immediately after enrolling into NPower, my life changed drastically. The ideal of IT was very intimidating. In my community, IT was not necessarily exposed. It was more so survival. I come from humble beginnings. So the training that NPower provided, I was a part of their Tech Fundamental program. That's the starter for NPower. The training provided was very hands-on, and it was extremely motivating for someone like me who had zero experience in IT. From there, I did good. I excelled. I was accepted into Deloitte's apprenticeship, and I worked there for about 3.5 months. Unfortunately, I did not get the job because it was sort of late within a career, and there was like a hiring freeze going on. But the experience and exposure that NPower provided me gave me a skill set, and I was able to use that to get into another position with AIG. NPower, like I said, it drastically changed my life. I was a single mother adjusting to not only gaining independence, but also gaining back my confidence. I lost a big support system when my husband left, and my family at the time were not really the most supportive, so I had to take what I could get. NPower staff, incredible, passionate, understanding, and they treated me like a human instead of a statistic or a quota. And that meant a lot to me, especially for someone of my background. My internship with Deloitte has set me up with AIG, as I mentioned earlier. And from there, my career excelled. I am now a homeowner. Bought my first home 2 years ago, and I'm also able to provide a better quality of life for my 9-year-old son. And I cannot be more grateful, and I still today am in shock that I am in this position that I am, working under Ray, who's also a great mentor, and earning the salary that I am earning today is unbelievable, and I'm so grateful and thankful, and I'm blessed. But yes, the apprenticeship itself, it provided an environment for me to, I guess, expose my strengths and weaknesses when it came to IT skills. I was able to get insight of the infrastructure at Deloitte and provide a perspective that I can take with me wherever I go in any industry. If it was not for that apprenticeship, I do not believe I would have gotten into IT. I just couldn't afford it. I was using my GI Bill for a completely different program. And so the fact that it was free and very resourceful, and NPower provides an elite pool of Fortune companies that I was able to get that exposure in. And so that impacted my life positively, and now I feel salesy because everywhere I go, I'm selling NPower to anyone, whoever can listen. It can change your life. It really can. I'm now making 6 figures. I am providing for my son. He's happy despite the divorce, and life is, it can't get any better than this.
I told you it's a beautiful story, and I was cutting onions while she was talking, so yeah. No, listen, again, Brashonda, this is why I do what I do, right? And, I think it's fair to say for every Brashonda there is in the world, there are 10 people who don't find NPower, right? And there are 10 people and more who give up. And life is hard, and it's hard for everybody. And like Brashonda says, she came from humble beginnings in Dallas, which is a major U.S. market. What about the people in rural Texas? The ones who all they know is generational poverty. What about the folks who, right, Brashonda, who you were separating the military from at the same time, and they were at the VA hospital, and they just missed the recruiter. Not just to NPower, but to our employer partners and our community partners, and everyone doing good in the community. I have an open question for the board, right, and for the panel here, and let's just jump in here, right, because I presume we're all here because we're trying to figure out how do we leverage the power of apprenticeships, right? That's a fair assumption, I think. So my open question is, why is it so important for us to help change the narrative and to focus more on skills-based hiring? so that the Prashandas of the world have a chance over the 4-year degree requirement or the 2-year degree requirement or this is my favorite, personal favorite, you've got to have a master's degree for a $35,000 annual salary, right? Like, why? You know, like how do we have that conversation, Kim and Ray and Prashanda? How do we help change the script there?
So, you know, we had dinner last night and sort of were tossing around answers to these questions. And the fact of the matter is employers don't have to change the requirement for a college degree if they don't want to. The problem is there won't be enough people to fill the demand. There are just not enough college graduates. And what was the data we heard? The jobs that are open today are the same ones that were open 2 years ago. I mean, it's just a basic supply and demand challenge. The other thing is, just because someone doesn't have a college degree doesn't mean they're not capable. They are as capable, they are hungry, they are able to perform and succeed but for having access to the skills and programs that allow them to be able to demonstrate their potential. So that's why the narrative has to change. That's why we have to think differently about skills versus pedigree. And the notion that perhaps someone that doesn't have a degree won't perform as well, how many of us have hired people with degrees that we had a whole lot of problems with? So that's not a proxy for a whole lot. But let's be clear. We do not reject higher education. It is critical. We understand that. But we want to be the bridge. And we want to make sure we're a path to higher ed so that someone who is not clear about what they want to do, can't afford it, or is just not ready for it, doesn't have to take a vow of poverty and not be able to have a job that's going to be able to pay beyond family-sustaining wages. So we can be we can be a disruptor by opening the doors and having the opportunity for those higher wage jobs, but we can also support the higher ed community who, for success, means persistence and graduation rates. So then you have somebody that's hungry and they know what they want to study and they know that they want to finish and get that degree, and they know in order for them to have greater mobility in a company, more education is required. But let's not close the door from them being able to even discover that because they don't have that degree coming in.
Very well put. You know, that gentleman said boots on the ground over there. That's a terminology in the military, right? So I'm boots on the ground. And the reason I say that, I have observed throughout my hiring career the different dynamics of degreed individuals versus individuals that did not have a degree, but that were needing an opportunity, needing a chance to come into an environment where they can have a career, a long-lasting career to take care of their families. And I say this because the NPower has offered life-changing opportunities, and we're all about life, right? We're all about the existence of the human being, and human beings need an opportunity to give a chance to take care of not only of themselves, but also their families. And NPower does that. Now, if you're only looking for degree people, I get it, that's your thing. But if you give those other folks an opportunity that do not have a degree to come into your environment and build your organization strong, so for instance, provide that framework of that loyalty that you're going to get from them because you've given them a chance versus an individual. And trust me, I have a degree as well too. I commend individuals that we go in for a 4-year plan. We complete that plan. That's great, that's super. But you have individuals that did not have the chance to go in and get that 4-year degree, but if you take a chance on them to bring them into your organization, you will succeed because of your investment in them, and they will succeed because now they can go back and say, you know what, AT&T gave me an opportunity and a chance I didn't have a degree, but I'm going to take advantage of it, and I'm going to give them the best that I can give them. That's just like a military nature, right? I'm going to give you the best that I can give you, and that's what you want.
Thank you. Prashant, anything?
Uh-oh, sorry.
Prashant, anything to add?
Yes, there's a saying that you are not supposed to put all of your eggs into one basket. Am I right, Sherry? Okay. But I believe NPower has provided that additional basket to pull from, or basically to get your eggs out of. NPower to me is similar to how COVID was as a pandemic. It forced you to become agile and to adjust to the different environment that was occurring. And to me, NPower is that game changer. Maybe the wrong analogy to compare it to COVID, but I think we all get where I'm trying to say here. NPower is that change. NPower provides that basket of elite personnel that can accommodate the same tasks that a person with a degree can. I went through the program concurrently while attending college, and the impact, or basically the outcome from my experience in NPower, I felt more prepared and equipped to enter into an IT role or position. And I'm not saying college cannot prepare you for that, but NPower had the right tools, the staff members, the environment, the elite group of resources. They even had counseling sessions for if you were just having a bad day, resources such as gas cards and you know, there to professional attire if you did not have any. And I just think that right there is to look outside of the traditional way and pull from a program such as NPower is key to finding new and a more diverse talent and to fulfill these roles. And I'm not sure if I answered the question.
No, that was perfect. No, it's actually a good segue. It was like we practiced. Just kidding, we didn't practice that. So Kim, I'm gonna come back to you, right? And we're gonna pivot from the employer now, right? Because again, we in the room here represent the full spectrum of Texas workforce, whether it's employers, community colleges, four-year universities and colleges, workforce developers. Shout out to the Dallas Workforce Solutions Board. I saw several of my friends there. Lynn, I see her there. Big shout out to Dallas College. Great partnership we have there, Dallas College. Whoop, whoop. So Kim, you know, as I shout out all my peoples in Texas here, tell me, you know, what problem are we collectively, not just NPower now, what problem are we collectively solving for, right? For the workforce developers, the educators, and the community partners.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, we know that there is a huge demand for talent. And we have to, you know, the definition of insanity is doing the same things and expecting the same result, a different result, excuse me. And so in order for us to get different results and ensure that we have a populace in this country that is prepared for the jobs in demand, we have to think differently about how to create opportunities for people to access the skills, to then have the opportunities to enter into the careers, and to then see the success of companies thrive across this nation. It's about economic stability. It's about our economy. It's about our communities. And it's about an ecosystem that's required to make it all work. We wouldn't be able to do what we're doing with apprenticeships without the Texas Workforce Commission, without the support of the Department of Labor, without the community partners out there who are helping to refer us to people that need this work, without the partners in the broader workforce system, without the employer partners who are willing to think differently about how to mold and to onboard talent. This partnership is personal with us. It's personal, the work we're doing with Citi, because they believe that their business will be successful when they have not just a skilled workforce, but a diverse workforce. Because you want people who bring different experiences, different ways of thinking, different understanding about the range of communities across this country and globally. And so it's personal for us that they have chosen to hire 100 apprentices, register 100 apprentices a year, because of their goals and expectations for success. We can't do that if we're not casting the net more broadly across all communities and ensuring that people really do have a pathway to prosperity, and that we work together as an ecosystem, the higher ed community, the workforce community, the legislative community, the advocate community, the champions who are doing the work on the ground and supporting those communities that have been disenfranchised, and helping them believe that it's possible, so that we make the transition in our program, and this is probably the thing that makes us feel so good and get up every morning, is that we help see the transition from us wanting it for them to them wanting it for themselves. And that can't happen if we don't work together as willing partners to do our part and invest in what is required to ensure that we create those opportunities.
Thanks, Kim. And I think it's a perfect segue to talk about Dallas College and my friends there, because we, NPower, just launched our first of many articulation agreement courses, pre-apprenticeship training, so that our students, our trainees, are co-enrolled at Dallas College for those who are going to go on to get their education. So now they have an apprenticeship, a registered apprenticeship, IT generalist certification, right, from the Department of Labor. They've got 4 industry-recognized certifications, CompTIA, Google IT support. There's several of these big-name, heavy-hitter certifications they have, and they have college credit to go on and continue their education, either post-program or throughout their career. So that is the partnership, right? That's where the community answers the call. It's not just us. We know that, because without NPower, without the help from the higher ed community, without help from the employer partners, like Kim mentioned, without help from the community partners who provide the wraparound services, who are we just by ourselves? And that's where the community comes, right? And so, Ray, I'm gonna come back to you on this one. And I know this is a trigger question for you because you're so passionate. So hit us with the energy. In your professional opinion, sir, when things are working well, what does it look like for this thing we call employer partnerships and apprentices? And when things are working well, what is our best case scenario?
Yeah, it's a good question. That's tricky, huh? No, best case, you have individuals that are not only ambitious, outgoing, and they're talented, but they're eager to take advantage of their wheelhouse, the things that they have within their control. They take opportunities to jump right in there and take these challenging projects that nobody else will take. And of course, I'm a veteran, so I'm an advocate, so I'll say a veteran in their leadership, but I also say the NPower veteran spouses as well as the young adults. They bring this to the table because when they come to my organization, they're hungry. They're looking at this transition into a new world for some of them, and it's fearful for some of them. So they're going to bring their best game. It's like when you come to a gunfight, they're going to bring a cannon to the gunfight because they're going to come in wanting to excel, wanting to prove themselves, right? Wanting to tackle those big projects that nobody else wants. They're going to be team builders, right? And then we're talking about best cases, right? They're going to be the idealists, right? Those are the folks that are going to come in and do more than what's expected. They're going to be the individuals that come to your one-on-one meetings when you have a development career discussion. They're going to bring an agenda, not just a blank sheet of paper. Those are the best folks. Those are the individuals that you're going to want to hire, to bring to your team. And again, those are your best cases. And of course, there's a flip side to that. There are some individuals, to be real, that don't understand that. But we are prepared at City. We've launched a Pathfinder program to help those transition. You're not going to get the ideal situation where you're going to have the best people all the time. We understand that. So we have a program to help them to transition from from NPower, if you will, or from the military, or for wherever they are, into our environment. Why? Because City is huge. We have over 225,000 employees. Can you imagine all the different processes that we have with that? So we help them to navigate through these different processes. We help them to understand what is it that they have to do to be successful, to be that best case scenario, to be that best employee. We groom them, we train them. We just don't take them from an apprentice program and then drop them into an organization. That's difficult for them because this is a new world for them. Understand that they have been groomed over here in the service, and now all of a sudden they're transitioning to empowered, and they're transitioning here. They'll give you their best, but they need that help, and that's where we have that Pathfinder program. We have different programs to help them. So best case scenario, yeah, of course, that individual that's going to be your top tier person or your top performer that's going to come and do that. But we also have programs to help them to succeed. And yes, I'm very passionate about NPower. I'm very passionate about what we do at City to help these individuals, but I'm very passionate about helping the community, about bringing these folks in to give them an opportunity to succeed, to take care of their family, and give them opportunities to help others, because you help one, it'll help another person. It will spread like a wildfire, and that's what you want. You want them to give back, and that's what I call it, giving back to the community, sharing the wealth. This is a wealth that we have, and we want to share that with others so they can embrace it, and then they can give it to others, and it will grow. It changes the mindset over time of that negativity that we faced 100 years ago. The way America is still broken today, it's going to be probably broken in the next couple of years, but look what we're doing. We're trying to change the concept and the personality of where we were back then to where we are today to where we need to be in the future. So that's my passion there.
I love it. I told you, passion's real. Listen, we've got some time left. I've got just one more question and then a couple bonus ones that we didn't talk about, which is great because that's when you really hear the answers. So get ready for those questions. And then, I do want to share my story real quick because I didn't on purpose, because I know there's so much power on the stage here with my three panelists. So I think my final question, and we talked about this, right, over dinner, the why. Where do we go from here, right? That's why any of us do what we do. What impact are we trying to have? And remember your why, okay? I also was in the military. I was an Army guy. I was an active duty Army officer, military intelligence. I served 8 years. I did a combat deployment to Iraq and a non-combat deployment to Jordan, which is a beautiful assignment for those who can go to Jordan anywhere. It's just a beautiful country. But so I did 8 years, and then my wife and I were expecting our second child, beautiful little girl, Jolie is her name, and we had orders. I had orders to deploy to Afghanistan. This is around 2012, 2013. So, I didn't want to go to Afghanistan, right? Fair enough. And, my wife and I just had this daughter, and we're like, look, I'm not going to make a career anyway. It was never my plan. So why not get out now, right? So I had a job lined up. We were stationed in Colorado Springs. I have a master's degree. I have a bachelor's. I've got all these certifications. I think I'm industry ready, right? That's what my opinion was in 2013. I'll be fine. So I had a job lined up in Denver, Colorado. I was stationed in Colorado Springs. And within a month, I promise you this is a true story, a month of my getting out of the Army, I had my orders, I had houses lined up to relocate to Denver. Everything was set. Within a month of my separating from the military, the employer calls me and says, hey, John, just FYI, we're moving this job to California. So if you want to go to California, it's still yours. And I said, okay, well, I don't want to go to California. So what do we do? Where do we go from here? Like, what do we do now? And they said, well, that's a condition of employment is that you're physically in California, so you are voiding your offer letter. 1 month left to go in the military. The only life I knew as a professional, working professional, and I am faced with this decision of where do I go? What happens next? And it was a very personal time for my wife and I, because we've got a child who's 2, one who is less than 6 months old, and we've got to figure out what we're going to do. And I have all the credentials. I've got the master's, the bachelor's, the certificate, Six Sigma, project management. I did all that, right? And so I was unemployed separating the military. Crazy, right? Picked up my family, moved to Virginia. We had to start all over, had no family, no connections there. We were literally plucked from our comfort life and thrown into Virginia, and were forced to figure it out. Well, here's the story, right? It's not about me. The story is around the same time I separated, I had a soldier and I'm just going to call her Jessica, okay? She was getting out the same time I was because she also didn't want to deploy to Afghanistan for the third time, and she did not have a degree. She did not have certification. She did not have nearly anything from an education perspective, and she got out of the military, and she didn't find her footing. She struggled, and unfortunately, she committed suicide. That's my why. That's why I do what I do with NPower, because the only difference between Jessica and I was an officer in the Army. And I can say I was an officer, and just because those who are in the military know if you're an officer, people think you know more, even though it's not true most of the time. I was an officer. So people said, oh, you're an officer, we'll give you a chance because you've got to know something, you're an officer. All I did was go to college for 4 years and get a commission, and I'm an officer. I got Don, the all-knowing, right? That's the only difference between Jessica and I. And I take that personal, like Kim said. It's a personal struggle that I have of, did I prepare her the right way? Did I give her the attention she needed to talk about the transition and what happens when a month before you get out, your job gets pulled? You know, how much money do you need to save and this and that and this and that? That's my why. That's why we do what we do. That's why we're here. That's why we're talking to each of you, because we can't do anything by ourselves. The strength of the community is why NPower works, and purely the strength of the community. Texas Workforce Commission is probably our best partner, but even without the Texas Workforce Commission, if we don't have support from the state level, the federal level, the city level, the municipality level, from the employer level, from the community partners level, from nonprofits that do what we do, then it's all for naught. So my question, that's a long intro, and I didn't do that on purpose. So here's my question, right? Let's close this thing out. Team, where do we go? Where do we go from here? How do we work together across this massive ecosystem to mobilize our collective resources and raise an army of talent in this modern workforce?
So,
Go ahead. I'll get to preaching again, you know.
well, you know, we have one of the 4 strategic pillars at NPower that we are embracing as a series of lessons as a result of the pandemic, and how we had to pivot our model, and how it was so much, it almost created a greater sense of urgency for us to do our work, is to advance systems change. The thing you're talking about, that we have to change our systems. All of the opening remarks we heard this morning were about the systems that the state has embraced and is committed to changing to ensure that all its citizens can participate and all of its citizens can be successful. And so this is about all of us. It's not about those kids, it's not about those people, it's about all of us. And if we don't create a space, a country, a state, a system where all people can succeed, we will not prosper. We will be in peril. And so that's my why. Right? This is about ensuring that we create systems that are for all kids. Everything from the K-12 system to the ability to make college affordable and make that accessible for people who want it, but also to create a set of conditions where people can enter into a career and be able to not just survive, but thrive in their life for their families, and to be able to build communities that are successful. And we have to create a country that values all economic levels. Everybody's not going to be rich, but we also don't want everybody to be poor. I learned that that a country is not a country that is, oh God, how's it go? A country is not a country that is wealthy. No, I can't think of it. What I want to say is that the middle class is what keeps the country thriving. And so I'm going to think of that expression before I leave this podium so that I can really make sense of it, but it's about systems change.
You know, I grew up in a time where the country was, as I mentioned before, broken. And this was back in the day when I was in the service, when they had wooden muskets, right? Back in way back in the day, right? But I've seen us as a country try to come together and pull together to answer the question to where are we going from here? Some of those decisions, I wouldn't say were totally wrong, but it led us down the wrong direction. Did we focus on the right question to come up with the correct answer on how do we launch and propel ourselves to the future, away from the IBM typewriters to the digital technology that we're in today? Some of them, yes, we made the correct decisions, some of them we didn't. But the bottom line is, did we look at the community and how we can help the community the best way that we can? And we sometimes made mistakes doing that, sometimes we did not. And as employers, some of us that are employers, we have the authority and the ability to help make that change, which is in our wheelhouse, which is in our reach, that we can do that. And we should consider that, right? Some of the things that we can change, some of the things we cannot change. And the reason that I did go back into the Antarctica days, back when I grew up, right when America was broke, is because these are some of the things that we should have learned back then to make the better decisions from where we are today to help us to launch into the future, and how we can help the economy grow, and how we can take things that are within our control to help feed the individuals in the communities that are underserved, to feed those veterans that are homeless. How could you just sit back and just say, how did that happen with a veteran that's living up under a bridge? How did that happen? How did we let that happen, right? So some of those things we have control over, and where do we go from here? We go to help those individuals. How do we do that? With the apprentices programs that we have within our wheelhouse today, the things that we have in control today. This is how we help change the community. We can't change the entire world, but I guarantee you we can change some of the lives that are out there that are broken, some of the lives out there that are sick, some of the lives out there that we know that we can have an impact to and help them change. With me working at City, I try to help as many people as I can. I don't lose sleep sometimes. I don't get any sleep sometimes because I'm trying to help folks. But I do the best that I can do. That's why I'm involved in so many different affinity groups, because I care. And that caring should be with everyone. This will help you to come up with that decision, or that understanding is what I have to do to go forward or launch myself forward in the future. It'll help you make that decision. So there's a lot of answers that you have there. Don't beat yourself up about it, but just try to make a difference and give back to the community to help yourself to move forward. And look at that neighbor next to you and say, you know what, I appreciate you. You're doing a good job. That will help change your life as well, too.
I figured it out.
Yes, let's hear it.
The country is not a poor country because of the absence of wealth. It's because of the absence of a middle class.
There you go.
Oh.
And that's the system that we want to be able to bolster and change. And just in building on Ray's comments, you know, people need to know that you care before they care that you know. And so in order to get people to believe that what you're selling them is not the Brooklyn Bridge, but indeed an opportunity, it's more than just the particulars of the program. It's about the heart that we show. It's about the sincerity and authenticity of believing that it's possible for them to succeed and that they belong in the same place that you belong.
Exactly.
Rashonda, a chance to say something.
Thank you, Kim. I agree with Raymond and Kim. I think for me, the best thing to do is to just give an opportunity to someone who do not look like you. African-American woman here, I never thought I can be in IT, not because of the lack of seeing my own potential, but just not given the opportunity to explore that side of the world. And you cannot continue to do the same thing and expect change. You're going to eventually have to revamp your way of thinking. And with NPower or other programs that are out there and that are giving opportunities to someone like me, it's not only fulfilling a role, but you're changing lives. Do you want to change someone's life? You know, do you want to go to bed and say, hey, I gave this individual an opportunity. Now, whether they take it and take advantage of it, that's on them. But at least you can check off that good deed for the year, for the day, for the month, or whatever. We talked about how apprenticeship can sort of mold the employee into an ideal employee that can follow the standards and policies of that company. Kim, you mentioned last night that employees are looking for middle managers or executive levels, and then if you would have taken that apprenticeship, you could have had that position already. So continue to exploit programs like NPower and spread the word, and also just give that opportunity to someone who is not the ideal person or maybe, I don't know. Just give the opportunity to someone who do not look like you.
So we've got, thanks team, we've got 8 minutes and 44 seconds. Desi, I promise we won't go over 40 seconds. So there's 2 microphones on either side. We encourage questions if you have any. You know, I do want one call to action, and this is just completely optional, but there's pads on your tables, write your why. And just put it in your pocket, one of them, right? And then just remember it, even if you write it down once. What is the why? And then if you're really courageous, give that why to somebody else and give them your number and let them be your accountability buddy. In a year, let them call you up and say, hey, what's the why? And then you recount it to them. And just, it's affirmation for us all. So that's my homework assignment if you choose to accept it. Question, yes.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. It was so great to hear from all of you. My name is Estela Gonzalez. I work for the Department of Economic Equity and Opportunity in Harris County. And I am newer to learning about apprenticeships, so I just have a couple of, I'm sure they're going to be basic elementary questions. One of them was just understanding the timing and what makes apprenticeships different than like short-term workforce training. So I see that the Tech Fundamentals is like a 10 to 20-week class. I'm wondering, after that, are students guaranteed the internship at the employers, and do those employers pay the students?
So all good questions. The program is 10 to 20 weeks. The apprenticeship follows the pre-apprenticeship training or the technical instruction. So in theory, it's at least 6 months of total. Oh, okay. The apprenticeship, 85% of our trainees or students receive an apprenticeship or an internship within 6 months of our program. So an 85% placement rate, and they are all paid. So they're paid by either the employer to the trainee directly, or they're paid by NPower and the employer pays us and we become the employer of record.
And a question for Shonda, and thank you so much for sharing your story. Can you talk a little bit about any further credentialing that might have helped you increase in your salary, or if you kind of had it going through the program, or how did you continue any of that, if you did?
Absolutely. So I am by nature a very curious individual. So I think it's very important for individuals who do partake in NPower's apprenticeship to continue educating themselves. Tech Fundamentals for me was the starting point. And NPower, they also provide a roadmap of avenues that you can go within IT. And for me, I wanted to try all of them. And so I decided to just sort of build on top of my Tech Fundamentals with the current role that I was in. So for Deloitte, I worked as sort of like a partner help desk. And that was sort of the entry level into networking. So I took upon studying networking plus. Also cloud practitioner. Honestly, you can just watch YouTube videos. But the environment of continuing to learn and seek out those extra credentials not only provides you with more skill level, but it helps you progress within that career pathway.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Yes.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jason with Texas Deaf Community, and I'm with NG. So NG I remotely work with IT departments. And so the challenge we have is with apprenticeship programs and commuting back and forth. What are the challenges y'all are facing with that?
You want to take that, Kim?
The challenges facing, I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
I'm sorry, can you say that again? Yeah, remote working.
Oh.
From home. Yeah, so there's no office or anything else.
Okay, sure. So actually, the remote jobs has opened even greater opportunity for us to both identify placement opportunities, but also to serve individuals that are not within the physical geographies where we have offices today. And so for the first year, the placement opportunities we had for the most part were remote jobs. So we also modified our program model to both ensure that everyone had what they needed, because we didn't even talk about the digital divide, which is real, right? But to ensure that they had the equipment and technology and access to the internet that they needed, and then also to include in our workforce readiness component of the program, the things that are important in a remote work environment. So we didn't necessarily have a challenge as much as we had to ensure that we made the adjustments in order for the placement opportunities that we offered to our graduates to include those remote jobs as much as they included jobs that were physical, place-based opportunities.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any additional questions, Desi? I know I got 304, 303, 302. And I heard she was telling me earlier that this podium will shock if I go over.
Can I
So keep me
also-
going if you want to see me get shocked. Anyway.
Just also in
Yeah.
support of the other question, so our program model does encompass the related training instruction requirement of the registered apprenticeship program. So when our program is complete and we register someone with an apprenticeship employer partner, they then are providing the on-the-job training requirements, the coaching and mentoring, and the progressive wage, and the assurance that the standards of apprenticeship tied to that job description, the skills that are required are met and are signed off by that manager.
Yeah, so Kim, Ray, Rashonda, and I are so appreciative for this time. I know it's an hour and 8 minutes. I'm just messing with you. I know it was an hour plus. We're excited to be here. We'll be here for, the conference, so please pick our brain. We purposely didn't give everything about NPower because you always leave the people wanting more. So hopefully we did that. We left y'all wanting more from us. I am so thankful for you all for joining me on stage here. If there's no other questions, we have one more.
Mike, I think they turned me off. Mike,
There's that boot on the ground
How many seconds
guy.
do you have left?
I got 90 seconds. We
Okay,
got
good.
time.
We don't want Desi to blow us up. So is there I represent the employers, and so do you guys have a simple explanation of the process for employers? A document that's a simple explanation of the process. I think that might work well. It probably exists out there, but if we can get that and kind of sharing that would be probably good for the employers.
Yeah, that was an evolution, and we absolutely have a 2-page employer acceptance agreement that makes it much more appealing, and we're happy to share that with you.
All right, that's it. Thank you, team.